Module 19, Introduction to Fractions. Today we'll be working on Lesson 1. The I can statement for Lesson 1 is I can break a whole into fractional units and identify the parts. Some key terms are fractional units, partition, whole, and equal parts. So the materials that you will need today are a dry erase board, if you have one, and marker, or you can just use paper. You'll need 2 pieces of paper and pencil, and maybe you'll need a pair of scissors. Okay, so we're going to start with your dry erase board or your piece of paper, whatever you're working with today. And the first thing that I'd like for you to do is to draw a line down the center of your dry erase board or down your piece of paper. Now remember, you want to draw that line down the center so that we create 2 equal parts. Do you have 2 equal parts on your piece of paper or board? 1, 2. I have 2 equal parts. The key to fractions is that all of our parts that we create are equal. So a fraction, we will start with a whole and we will break it into equal parts today. When we have 2 equal parts, each one is called a half. This is half and this is half. Those halves are going to be something called our fractional units. When you start with a whole unit and you break it into equal sized pieces, you are creating fractional units of a whole. The fractional unit for 2 equal parts is halves. So if the parts are called halves, what do you think the fraction of the whole is for one of those parts? One of the parts would be 1/2. If we're talking about just one of these parts, it is 1/2. We can actually count our halves. So if we look at what we created on our board or on our paper, each of these pieces are a half, and we can count them just like we would count. We have 1/2 and 2/2. Okay, so point and count with me. 1/2, 2/2. Take a minute and talk with your learning coach about how we know that these are equal parts. For these pieces to be halves, they must be equal parts. And since we have 2 equal parts, we have the fractional unit of halves. Okay, you can actually use that same piece of paper or your board. If you drew any words on it, go ahead and erase it. Now you're going to draw a line across the middle again of the page. This time we're going across the page and it must be in the middle. Remember, our goal is to create equal parts. How many equal parts do you have now? Did you say 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. If you did, you are correct. The fractional unit for 4 equal parts is fourths. So go ahead and count the fourths with me. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4. Notice it takes me 4/4 to make one whole. So we started off with a whole piece of paper or board, and we drew a line down the middle to make 2 equal parts. Do you remember what those were called? 2 equal fractional parts are halves. 4 equal fractional parts are fourths. Again, how do you know that these parts are equal? The fractional unit for 3 equal parts is called thirds. Let's count the thirds together. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. There are 3 equal pieces. If there are 3 equal pieces, then we have fractional units, and 3 equal parts are called thirds. Okay, so you actually can put your board or your piece of paper to the side. Right now, what I want you to do is I want you to look at the screen, and you're going to have some examples to look at. So there's a few things that we introduced today. One of them is fractional units. We make fractional units by dividing a whole into equal size pieces. So what I want you to do is look at the following units that are partitioned into fractional units. If you think it is partitioned correctly into equal pieces, equal fractional units, give a thumbs up. If you think that it is not correctly partitioned into fractional units, give a thumbs down. Remember, again, the key is that a fractional unit means the pieces are equal in size. If the pieces are not equal in size, it is not a fractional unit. Let's take a look. The fractional unit for 5 equal parts is fifths. Does this model show fifths? Think about it. Thumbs up, thumbs down. It does. There are 5 equal parts. So these are fractional units called fifths. We could count them. 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, 5/5. Let's try another one. The fractional unit for 6 equal parts is sixths. Does this model show sixths? It does. Let's count them. 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, 6/6. There are equal parts, 6 equal parts. These are fractional units. The fractional unit for 4 equal parts is fourths. Does this model show fourths? If you said no, you are correct. This is a thumbs down. Notice the size of the pieces. Because these pieces are not equal, these are not fourths. Remember, the pieces must be equal in size. The fractional unit for 8 equal parts is eighths. Does this model show eighths? If you gave a thumbs up, you are correct. There are 8 equal pieces, and so this would be the fractional unit of eighths. And again, we could count it. Let's count it together. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8. Now, I want you to remember as you're going through your lesson notes for today that you are looking for the equal parts of for a fraction.